speak out on certain issues, whether it's them losing their value, whether it's them losing an endorsement deal. Whatever the case may be, there are some guys who are afraid to speak out. What I would say to you as far as what you can do is you can continue doing what you're doing, but do it with an understanding. And when I say doing what you're doing, you're studying politics. You're in the school, the government school. So one day, you're going to be the person making the decisions. I think it can be used to solve it to a certain extent, and the extent that it's used is, I think, the way that it's being used, and that's simply to raise awareness. When the Donald Sterling situation happened, ironically, we were actually the next team that the Clippers were playing. We were playing in LA that night that Adam Silver came out and he announced that they were forcing him to sell. There was a lot of pressure on Adam that night, and it was like the first big thing he had to do as the commissioner, which is tough. And I commend Adam for the stance that he took, because what it also did was it showed who he was as a commissioner, and it's kind of set the standard and the trail of where he was going and where he is now with that one decision. As far as the NFL kneeling goes, all those guys did come together, and I commend them for coming together. Starting with Cap, obviously, starting it off. I think somewhere along the way of kneeling and everything, the reason for kneeling was lost. So the actual kneel became a discussion, and it became, you're kneeling, you're disrespecting the flag. You're kneeling, you're disrespecting the soldiers. You're kneeling, you're disrespecting the fallen soldiers. You're kneeling, you're disrespecting our country. Along the way, that wasn't why it started. Like, let's talk about why this started and not what they're doing to start the conversation. And so I think it's maybe doing something like that, but then taking advantage of those things and really moving forward with those conversations. And I commend Cap, because yes, he kneeled, and yes, some may say it backfired on him. Some may say it's been amazing. Everyone has their own opinion. But one thing I commend him on was he didn't just kneel and stop. Like, he kept going, and he's still going. And I think that's what's most important. But where it was easier with and I'm all over the place because I'm trying to juggle the two things you're talking about, what you said in NFL and NBA. So I'm back in NBA now. Where it was different for Adam and for us as players was something in our own league that we could control. That was something where there's 30 teams in the NBA. We could control what happened there. Now, we couldn't control that Adam was going to make the decision to force him to sell. But however, there was a conversation that if Adam didn't take a hard stance, that we probably weren't going to play that game. So we had a little power in that situation. I think with these issues, they're much bigger than just the game. It's much bigger than like one of the 32 NFL teams or one of the 30 NBA teams. Like, this is our country we're talking about, where the only control that we have is simply to speak out and try to create awareness and try to create conversation about the issues that we're speaking out on, and then trying to get everyone, to come together to fight these things, to try to, spark change in the things that we're speaking out on. And so that's kind of the only thing that we can do as players from either league, is just really do what we've been doing. You have guys in the NFL using their off days on Tuesdays, going to Washington, D.C. and doing these different things, but it's still just a conversation. So you need the rest of the country behind you to really move forward. You can only do so much as an athlete. but you need everyone else behind you pushing you forward to try to help spark that change. So I think, I commend a lot of guys for what they're doing.